many years ago, as Peter and I were planning our life together, we discussed what we wanted from our children, or for our children, and we knew that we wanted them to go to church. He was raised Presbyterian, I was raised Assemblies of God. Assemblies of God was a little too charismatic for Peter, so we knew it had to be a Presbyterian church. We knew it had to have gray hair because we didn't have relatives in the state of Georgia, and we wanted our kids to have surrogate grandparents. And we knew that it had to not be too big or too small because we wanted to be able to be involved, to be active, to have people know who we were and know who our kids were, but not that our kids were the only kids in this sanctuary. Also, they couldn't be clients because we supported a lot of churches and we didn't want to know too much about the church. We wanted one that was not too familiar with us. So we agreed to start looking for churches, not to be radical. We agreed we'd only go once a quarter, and then after a couple of years we'd go once a month, and then we'd sort of progress. So 5 years later we have a 3-year-old, and it's time to start going to church, and we still haven't picked one. But we did need to pick a preschool. So we were referred to St. Andrew's Preschool. Came for our tour with Don McGee, who was the director at the time. And as Don was going through and giving us a tour of the church at 6 o'clock at night, 2 women came in who needed assistance. And Don turned to us and said, "I'll be right back." And he left us standing alone in the education building as he took these women to get services. And I looked at Peter and I said, you know, this is our church. Never on my list of requirements was local missions, because the Assemblies of God churches don't do such a good job in local missions. They do national or international. I had never thought local was important. But at that moment, it was, this is an important thing to us. So we didn't know if there was gray hair. We didn't know how big the sanctuary was and how big the congregation was. But I knew local missions, and it was where we lived. And so that's why we chose St. Andrew's.